watching. Welcome back to Eliza Builds Stuff. And today we are building a tiny house that is attached to a tree house. So I saw this picture of basically this house, or just the exterior front of a tiny house on the subreddit r cozy places. And I was like, that house is precious. That would be perfect for a Sims build. And I've seen people build tree houses before, so I wanted to give it a go. But I didn't want to make like a community lot. I wanted to make a tree house attached to a cute little tiny house. So I chose this lot in particular because I build a lot of tiny houses on this lot because it's relatively small, but it's in a really, really gorgeous area. So we are here in Brindleton Bay, looking out over the water and building a teeny little house. But despite being a tiny house, this house is not cheap. I think when I threw it up on the gallery, it said it cost somewhere like $55,000. So it is not a starter home. It's just a small home. But two people can live in here. I did manage to put a double bed that is accessible from both sides. Unfortunately, it's right up against the door, which is kind of weird, but I mean, they're Sims, you know? Like, if it was me, actually a human being living in this house, I'd be like, why is there a bed up against the front door? But it's not. It's Sims, and they don't really care if the bed is against the front door as long as they have a bed. So, yeah. So, the house that I saw online that this is based on was a very modern looking house, despite being sort of nestled in the woods with a treehouse attached to it. But it had a dark exterior, a nice blue door. It looked very cozy, but also very modern, which is a look that I really love. Like, I don't like things to be so modern that it looks uncomfortable. You know, like you'd want to be able to live in it. So that was the vibe that this house was giving me, because it had so this little windowed area is a just bright dining room, because I figure the people who live in this house, it's like a cool modern couple. They could be old, they could be young, whatever, new money, old money, whatever. And they love to host, but they don't necessarily spend a ton of time in their house. So, because they're very social, they like to go out and do stuff. So they wanted a house that they could host in, but not a house that was like huge, that they had to pay a lot of taxes on, all that kind of stuff. And so they were like, you know what, we're going to do a tiny house. We're going to do it in this precious area of Brindleton Bay. We love the land because it's got a pond on it, which I'm going to build later, sort of towards the end. I just made a rash decision to throw a pond in the front yard, but I really like it. So while we're here, do you guys see how the columns that I put under the treehouse, and then this column right here, it's clipping through the roof of the house, but sometimes it's not. You see how that just happened? Like, it was there and then it was not. And so they might have fixed like columns popping up to meet the floor level of the level above it in an update at some point, and I just missed that. But it only works about half the time, because you see this again, it's clipping through the roof. So if you guys know something that I don't know, let me know in the comments, because I don't know why it's only clipping about half the time, and sometimes it'll be there and sometimes it won't. But so boo to the Sims team for that, but yay to the Sims team for these stairs. This was my first experience with L-shaped stairs since the new update last week, and I am so excited that I was able to wedge that little staircase right in there, because I don't know what I would have done if I wasn't able to do that. I would have had to put the stairs going all the way down into the yard, and then it wouldn't have truly been attached to the house. But now you can just walk right out of your back door, which I placed right there, as you can see, and just go up the stairs to your little treehouse attachment at your leisure without getting rained on. You know, just a little bit of rain, not that much. You don't have to go all the way around your yard. So that is adorable. That is precious. I'm loving it. I'm living it. I'm going to build something a lot bigger soon, just to take huge advantage of those stairs. Going to do some sort of like right-angled spiral type situation. Very excited. So I wanted to go ahead and dress the dining room, because it's kind of the focal point of the house, because these people like to host so much. And the aesthetic that I'm going for, and first of all, I just want to apologize for leaving the grid on because I didn't even need it. I just didn't notice that I had it on until most of the way through this build. So, the grid is going to be there and it's hideous and it's ugly and I'm so sorry. If I could go back in time and make myself turn it off, I would. But for now, I'm just going to put a sticky note on my computer that says, turn the dumb grid off. It's hideous. It's ruining your entire video. So, anyway, the aesthetic that I was going for with the furniture and the floor and the wall texture and all that stuff is sort of an HGTV like Fixer Upper, Chip and Joanna Gaines type rustic modern look because like I said, this house, I was going for like a marriage of outdoor nature and metal brutalism, like iron and wood and plants and stone and that kind of thing. So that's why I picked I really love this particular rug because it's got all of those options where it's got like one pattern that's clean and then the same pattern, but it's a little bit older. Oh, and in case you guys didn't know, if you want to be very specific with your flooring, you just click Control F and it turns into these little triangles so that you can make the floor meet at a nice right angle, like I'm trying to do here. It took me a very long time because I just kept getting confused with it. I've got like, despite really love to build in The Sims, I have no sense of like geometry or spatial awareness. So that floor like really got to me. But I love the look of when the floor sort of, the two directions meet at a right angle like that on the diagonal. So I just went for it. I think it's always worth it, even though it takes a ton of time. And so inside we're doing like I'm going to change the horizontal shiplap later because I wanted something that was a little bit brighter of a white. Because having bright white interior sort of tricks the eye and makes it look bigger than it actually is. So that's an interior design tip for you guys. If you want something to look big, actually it works both ways. You either paint something white so that it looks bigger, or you can also, if you paint something entirely black or like a really, really dark color, it can sort of, it's also another optical illusion that makes your space look bigger. But so in that kitchen, so I went with white on this one, but in that kitchen, going for like a light wood, white marble, and then I originally put an island right there, and then I was like, what tiny house on the planet has an island in their kitchen? Like, it wouldn't be a tiny house. That just wouldn't make sense. So I went with a table, and I'm going to put two bar stools beside it, and it's sort of like a breakfast nook type thing, on those days when you just want to wake up and... Did I turn the grid off and then turn it back on just then? I can't stand myself. Oh my gosh. I don't think I did. Anyway, yeah, so on those days when you don't feel like using your giant dining room and you just want to like sit there on a stool and eat your Frosted Flakes and then go to work, but And then I love the exposed shelving. It was a very HGTV type decision that I made. I don't think I'd ever actually have exposed shelving in a house that I would own because I'm a messy person and I can't be held to that type of responsibility having open shelving. But yeah, so this is just me trying to place that massive bed and being like, it's weird next to the front door, but it's also weird across from the kitchen. So I could have just moved the kitchen, but I decided to just put the bed next to the front door. I did not play test this build at all. So if you see it on the gallery, and it is up on the gallery, my name is the exact same name as this YouTube channel, which is Eliza Build Stuff, because I'm Eliza and I'm not very creative. So that's the title that I wanted to give it. It's simple. It speaks to me, And so, yeah, and also I could not fit actual bedside tables next to this bed because there's not much space, and the bedside tables in The Sims are massive, absolutely huge. Every time I tried to squeeze a bedside table into a small room, they're too big, and then I downsize them, and then when I put things on top of them, everything's floating, and there's weird shadows everywhere because I downsized the side table, and I just don't understand why the side tables in The Sims have to be an entire grid piece large, because it's too big. No one has gigantic side tables that are as big as their actual bed. That seems insane to me. But anyway, instead of doing an actual desk, I just did this nice sort of farmhouse style table with a chair that matched the dining room chairs because I just figured that it's just a way that the office-y area wouldn't look too out of place because I've got so much like white, light colored farmhouse type furniture going on the inside. And that TV I thought was a little big for a tiny house, but like I said, I figured that this couple is like two young professionals that spend a lot of time at work making out money, but you know, they want to watch TV on the weekends. You just want to sort of cuddle up, watch TV, and huge TV. That's where we're at. So, girl, why did you not turn off that grid? I'm so mad at my past self for just continuing on without turning off the grid because it is so distracting. But I will turn it off at some point in this video. I think I recall doing that. So, and then I definitely turned it off for the screenshots at the end. So you'll be able to see what the house actually looks like at some point. And then nice little modern computer. And so I wanted to make this functional for Sims too, you know, like having a bookshelf, having them able to grab books, use a computer, watch TV, like do all the stuff that they would need to do to live successful Sims lives, but also keeping this a tiny house. And you guys might notice that there's no bathroom in this house so far, and that's because I completely forgot to add one. So I will add one eventually. This is still the part in the video where I've forgotten to put in a bathroom because I was like, oh, we can fit everything in this one little room. Tiny house nation, am I right? But no. So don't fret. Don't worry. I will be putting a bathroom in there eventually. I might have said this a second ago and then got distracted, but that fireplace is way too big. See, this is where I remember the bathroom, right here. But that fireplace is way too big for a tiny house, but I just thought it was so cozy and I really loved the look of it. And so I was like, you know what? It's going to be like the center of attention, even though I didn't put any chairs or anything facing it. If you download this house on the gallery, you might want to put like a nice recliner or two or a bench or something facing the fireplace because it's so big that you have to be able to appreciate it while sitting in your tiny house. I also figured that if they had such a big focal piece fireplace that they wouldn't need any sort of large like central heating type situation because it is a tiny house and that, Brindleton Bay to me is definitely like a mountain town. If any of you guys have ever been to Aspen, it reminds me a lot of Aspen because there seems to be a lot of walking paths and also the whole place is dressed with these quaking aspen trees, which I don't think I used the aspen. I may have used the aspen as the tree that I upsized to be the treehouse tree for this build, but so it just reminds me of Aspen, which is obviously a very cold ski town, and so I figured it would get cold here in this tiny house really easily, and so they needed that giant fireplace just to keep them warm so that they can cuddle together in front of their giant TV, you know? But I really love that. I've been using the mirror that I just put up in that bathroom. I use it all the time because The Sims has a very serious lack of horizontal mirrors. And I don't have all the packs, so there might be more horizontal mirrors elsewhere. But from watching other Simmers and them dressing bathrooms, I'm still under the impression that there are not enough large horizontal mirrors. Even though, like, go into any bathroom in America or really anywhere, and most of what you'll see is large horizontal mirrors over the sink. But you know what? I don't know. I don't know what to say to the Sims team. Sims team, add more mirrors, I guess, like large horizontal mirrors. Because I keep having to use that one that I put in this bathroom, which I'm not complaining about because that is a nice mirror. I do like that mirror. I just like more options, you know? Always more options. There's nothing wrong with what we have. See, you'd have thought at this point when I turned the lights off that I would have noticed how terrible the grid is and I would have turned it off, but I didn't. I did not. I've also been using these lanterns a lot because I just think they're really pretty, and I have like no space or place to put lanterns in my actual life, so I just keep using it in The Sims because that's pretty much what The Sims is, you know? It's like a fantasy world. And I didn't originally have a plan to put anything under the treehouse, but I was like, why would they waste that space? If these people are so into like hosting and stuff, then they totally have that as basically a third patio. Because they've got the little front patio, which is so precious. They've got the private back patio, which is nice and walled up and comfy cozy with a fire. That's not a fire pit, that like fire coffee table, which I totally would love to have in real life. I like while I was building this, I told my boyfriend, I was like, get me that giant fire coffee table, like marble fire coffee table. And he was like, put it where? And I was like, I don't know, in our giant future backyard. And he, I don't know, didn't seem that on board, but I want one. I really love it. I think it's very cute and very cool. I like the idea of just being able to turn on your coffee table fire and then kicking your feet up and probably melting the soles of your shoes because you put them too close to the coffee table fire. But I really love, I've been using these milk cartons, giant milk cartons, a lot. And so the thing that I just did on the table just there is there's this like little rectangular piece of road from, I think it's like a set piece from Get Famous, like when they build sets for the acting career. And so what I always do is I take that rectangular piece of road and I size it all the way down as far as it'll go, and then I use it as kind of like a slate placemat in the middle of the table. So yeah, so that's what that is. I use it all the time because I really love the idea of like nice slate centerpieces. I would definitely like take a piece of slate, put it on my farmhouse table, put an antique teapot on top of it, for sure. So that's what these people did too. These people and I are on the same wavelength as far as um, interior design. I in real life would totally want that. Was that like a weight, like an old fashioned measure weight balance? Balance, that's the word. A balance. I usually put it just about anywhere that I can in the builds. Oh, yeah. So this backyard washer dryer situation, I thought it was a little weird that I was putting it outside, but I just wanted to put a washer dryer in this build just to prove that, if you have a tiny house, you can still have it all. And it's covered by the stairs, so I don't think that you're in too much electrical danger if you were to actually put them there in real life. But I suppose if I was building this tiny house in real life, I would not put the washer dryer outside. But for our Sims purposes, I think it'll be fine, perfectly fine. It's about the only place that they would be able to put it, so except maybe the under patio, but I think I put it in a reasonable spot. And so we are continuing just to clutter things up. The little sort of Zen sand thing that I just put on the side of the bedside shelf. I've actually never seen that before in the clutter, so I don't know where it came from or what pack it's in, but I thought it was cute, and I'm gonna remember that it's there and maybe sized up. It could be a really cool piece in some other house somewhere. But for now, we are going to. For once, there's actually a reason that I have the sun turned off, and it's because I was putting lights outside. But now, oh, there we go. I was about to say, and now we're going to landscape in the dark, but I turned the sun back on. Still have the grid on. Don't know what was wrong with me. I promise I'll never do it again, except that I probably will at some point, so don't hold me to it, although, I hope that I never do it again. But we're dressing the little, I'm going to call it a deck. Instead of necessarily a tree house, it's a tree deck. But yeah, so it's got I really love that corner seat. I like to use it in a lot of outdoor things just because it's really nice. Even the back of it, like the exposed back, is just a really nice quality of wood. So I'll put that just about anywhere also. These lanterns, and so right here I really love the idea of hanging these lanterns and then putting light bulbs in them so that the tree was lit up. But what I ended up doing is I forgot to put the roof on. And so right there, I put the roof on and I was like, ooh, this is all too low. And so then I tried to raise it, and then raising up the light bulbs was a little too finicky and difficult. So I just was like, forget about the light bulbs. The lanterns are fine. It's just decoration, whatever, moving on. And so just setting up a little seating. The easel is facing the river, lake type thing, whatever that body of water is in Brindleton Bay. If we're going to call it an ocean or a lake, I don't know what it is officially. But the easel is facing in that direction so that you can just wake up early in the morning, put on a robe, go out and paint over the water, paint the sun shimmering in the water, whatever you're into. You can just paint, I don't know, you don't even have to paint what's actually out there, just paint whatever. Whenever I have my Sims paint things for money because it's really quick and easy money, I always go for abstract because anything other than abstract might actually end up being kind of weird. But when they paint abstract stuff and they get really good at it, the abstract stuff is actually really good to the point that I'll hang it legitimately in my house. Whereas if you ask them to paint more like pop art type stuff, I don't really want a doodle of a cat in my house unless it's, I don't know, some sort of really cool, interesting pop art doodle. I don't know. The Sims, uh, they have weird taste in paintings when it comes to what's a valuable painting and what's not. So I usually just have them go abstract because those end up being pretty nice. But what I'm doing here is landscaping in the dark, and I put these planter pots out here so that some things could actually be planted, and then I put outdoor flowers in them just to make it look full and flowery. And then what I'm going to do later is I'm going to build a fence around this porch, which is going to put a roof on it, which ended up deleting a lot of my stuff. And so then when I was putting it back, I never put those plants back. So when you see the screenshots later and those plants that I just put there are suddenly disappeared, then that's why, because I completely forgot to put them there because there were so many other things on my mind. But once again, landscaping in the dark. Remembered last second to stop landscaping in the dark and turn the sun back on. I like sizing down and sort of edging my like, what do you call it? Walk path, the walk path up to the porch with those little rocks. Those rocks are so useful for so many things, just covering up weird mistakes, covering up like things just floating in your yard. I use those rocks for just about everything. And then a little terrain paint just to make everything look like it is actually supposed to be there instead of just placed randomly at the last second. And then this was a last second decision that I don't necessarily like that I did, but I tried to make it so that it didn't look like they paved around the tree, like right up to the edge of the tree. So I don't know, I just sort of hacked some holes into the masonry and then painted it with dirt, which I, in retrospect, don't love the look of, but oh well, I did it. I saved it. I put it on the gallery. It's done. It's been did. I done did it. Moving on. So this is like a secondary porch. So the inner porch with the really high fence is sort of like a private hangout area. And then the, I just said porch. I meant, fenced yard. The higher one is more private for hanging out and stuff. And then the second one is just to sort of lay out the land. And at this point, this is still a tiny house because there's really only 3 rooms in it technically. The dining room, not including any of the porches and the decks. You've got the sort of studio area, the dining room, and the bathroom. It's kind of huge now because you've got the tree deck, the under tree deck porch, the back porch, the whole yard situation with a swing and this whole front yard, and then I'm going to put a pond on it. So although I wanted to try to make something that was like really small and cute and precious, it ended up being kind of a big thing. Just a big house, big teeny tiny house with a ton of yard stuff. I don't know. Like I said, these people like to host more than they like to just hang out in their house, which is the total opposite of me because I personally like to just lounge around my house with no one there. And when I do have to host things, I kind of freak out about it for a while. And I'm like, oh, I have to clean everything, get everything prepared. And my place is so small that everyone's going to hate it. And But not these people. They stay clean. They have a porch. They've got a cool hangout area. See, here, adding another hangout area. These people love hosting, man. They've even got a bar that they probably rarely use because there's only 2 of them. But when they host, break out that bar, get some juice going, And then so we're fudging a little L-shaped couch here, which I like to do, and it looks okay if you don't look at it too hard. But I just think big, loungy, L-shaped couches in outdoor areas is just so cozy and fun, and I love the idea of it. And just something needed to go on that patio, so I was like, we're going to do more hangout area. You could have a party for like 50 people in this tiny house easily. And what other tiny houses can you say that about? I'm guessing not many tiny houses. But you can, have people in the dining room, on the deck, on the lower deck, on the back porch, in the yard, on the side deck. Lots of space for activities. And, and so now we're, as soon as I start putting plants down, I know that it's getting towards the end because plants are always my finishing touch because everything always looks kind of wrong and empty until you start throwing plants down, until you start being very finicky about putting plants on shelves and taking 10 minutes just to place one little watering can. But, that's how you know that you're reaching the finish line is that you start just alt placing all the teeny tiny little things. And it was definitely at this point where I was like, okay, if I'm trying to make this a very functional tiny house, we need a dresser. We need a dresser somewhere, but it's not going to fit in this bedroom area. It's just not. And so what I did here is I love that dresser, the black and white one with the gold handles. So I was like, it's going to be a dining room buffet for little knickknacks and for serving food when you've got people over. But it's actually a dresser, so if your Sims want to go get dressed, they're gonna have to go into the dining room, which might be kind of weird, but it's there and it looks okay. And we're not taking up more space, more precious space in the bedroom area. So at this point, I kind of thought I was done for the most part, but there were a couple final touches that I wanted, and then the piece de resistance for this house is definitely the pond that does not exist yet. But see, saving because I thought I was done, and then I was like, no, we need a pond. There's nothing going on in this front yard. We need a like a focal point, a statement piece, a reason that these people bought this particular plot of land, and it's because of this precious little pond. So to build ponds, what I like to do, there is a pond in the game if you show hidden objects, but I don't like it. It looks too like fake. You know what I'm saying? It's like very, I don't know. It just looks very placed. And so what I like to do is just use the fountain tool, like the build your own fountain tool, and then just make a big random shape, cover up all the edges with some foliage, some grass, some rocks, that nice ground cover plant from Island Living I love very much. And so you just sort of put things around. Those little like reed plants are nice and pondy. And then I always put some lights in it so that it looks real nice at night too. And then at that point, we are about done, because I remember that being, I think, the last thing that I did. Always got a terrain paint around it just to make it look settled and finished. Little terrain paint under the swing so it looks like people actually use it. And then there we go, we're done. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please come back for my next video. Don't know what I'm building, so if you have an idea, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what I should make next. All right, see you later.